All right, we're back. It is a rainy day, and this is Riders of the Dawn.
The last rainy day.
Maybe. Hopefully.
All right, what are we talking about today?
We're going to talk about Dune today. Dune, we've been kind of doing this book-to-movie adaptation series. It's been fun. And Dune, we're going to kind of go off of our fantasy train, and we're going to talk about some science fiction.
Yeah, but there's a lot of fantasy elements.
There's a lot. There's a lot. Whereas most fantasy or science fiction really focuses on technology, Dune really doesn't. The only technology they really talk about is their still suits.
Yeah, it's science fiction in the sense that it is in the future.
Yeah.
But there's magic. There's
Yeah.
straight up magic in it, right? And they're like, Paul is prescient. He can see the future.
He's like Odin.
He has magical powers to like break things with his voice, and all sorts of stuff like that. But there's a lot of really cool ideas that are from science fiction in Dune that sort of inform the background, like the whole idea of robots being
human-like.
Yeah, and taking over.
Yeah.
And then eventually you overthrow that. That's all in the background.
Yeah.
But it informs their culture, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about the David Lynch movie, right?
Yeah.
Because they did some newer stuff with Dune.
Did they?
Yeah, they came out with another Dune. I don't remember when it came out. But I would prefer to focus on the David Lynch one because I think that's the most interesting one to talk about.
Yeah. Well, I really liked the David Lynch movie, and when you hear him talk about it, he thinks it's the worst thing he ever did.
Yeah, he considered it a colossal failure. So if you ever get the quote director's cut of Dune, it says directed by Alan Smith or Alan Smithy, right? Which is that's an old Hollywood name that you'd put on something that you didn't want to put your name on. So you would put directed by Alan Smith, and you just wouldn't put your actual director's name on it, or produced by Alan Smith, whatever you wanted.
Whatever pseudonym you wanted.
But yeah, Alan Smith was it was like the inside pseudonym before. This is bad enough that nobody wants to put their name on it.
Yeah.
But you'd want to release it anyway because you want that money.
Yeah, if you put all this
money.
Yeah, you put all this investment into it, you want to at least try and recoup some of that. But honestly, so I watched.
Yeah, the other pseudonym is J.J. Abrams. So sometimes people put J.J. Abrams on really bad movies. So they don't want to take credit for him.
Woo! All right, Burn. I watched the David Lynch Dune movie probably 6 years ago now.
Yeah,
6 years ago. It's the first time I'd ever seen it. Of course, I read the book. I read the first 3 Dune books.
I think I stopped on.
I stopped on 4.
I think I stopped after 4. I think
Really?
I read 4 and got to the end and I was like, I think this series is through with me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not through with it, but it's definitely through with me.
Yeah, I read the first, probably the first 2 chapters of, I think it's Chapter House Dune. Or no, that's the last one.
Chapter House Dune's the last one. I think God Emperor Dune was the
God
last
Emperor,
one.
yeah. God Emperor. I read the first 2 chapters and I just said, no, I don't think so.
It has kind of a cool ending, but it's like I'm reading about this sandworm king, and it's like, what am I reading?
No, I just wasn't interested because honestly, they kill all the. They don't kill them, but enough time passes that all the characters that I liked in the first book are just not there anymore.
Unless it's like Duncan Idaho's clone,
Yeah. Which I guess is cool,
but why? It's like, oh, it's his clone. It's just like him. You liked him.
You liked him, so he's back.
But I don't think clones work that way.
Yeah, I don't think it's the same person.
Yeah.
So we had. That was really what ruined the book series for me was, and I think this is a huge trend in modern fiction, fantasy and science fiction, is that people connect to the characters. So if you kill those characters, why? You're not connected to the story the rest of the way through.
Yeah, and it's funny because the other thing that I I know we haven't gotten to talk about. We're not getting to the movie just yet, but we'll talk whatever. So
whatever. Riders of the Dawn, we never know what you're gonna get.
The other thing that I didn't end up liking about the books, I got really bored of the desert setting, man. I got really bored of everything being about this planet Dune. Because they, it's like you got, in the beginning of the first book, you got this exposure to this other planet with water, and it's like, I want to know what these other planets are like. And,
well, and in the books, you do explore other planets, just not with the main characters.
So
there's like an all-rock planet that has like, it's like a volcano planet, basically.
Well, I was going to say Brian J. Anderson and Brian Herbert. No, Kevin J. Anderson and Brian Herbert.
There you go.
Kevin J. Anderson's like the real author there. Kevin J. Anderson, if you don't know who he is, basically he writes other people's books. And I guess he's pretty good at it. I'm not crazy about his style, but like he wrote Neil Peart's book Clockwork Angels. Like basically if somebody has a story and a name to sell, he'll write the novel. He's good at it. So they wrote a bunch of like Dune books.
He also wrote a bunch of Star Wars books.
Yeah, he wrote a bunch of Star Wars books. Some of them were very well liked, some of them not as much. But he's written in other people's IPs, and he has his own IPs too. But the thing is, like, him and Brian Herbert wrote these books that were way more what people kind of wanted from Dune, which was like, we want to know about this other house, and it was much more expansive stories as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, God, I think there's like 24 Dune books.
Is there?
No,
I've lost track.
many.
But him and Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson wrote quite a few, and I haven't actually read any of them, but people like them, I think.
Yeah. So, the movie. The movie.
I don't consider the movie a failure. Not the director's cut.
I really like the movie. Again, director's cut. That's just the one that I've seen. So, and it was long. I feel like it was.
It's almost 4 hours.
Is it really?
Yeah,
it's long. But I mean, to really do a book justice, that's what you need.
Yeah, but the funny thing is the non-director's cut has David Lynch's name on it. Which is weird.
Yeah.
So like the full version that is his director's cut, he doesn't put his name on, but the smaller version, his name is on it. I don't know, it's confusing. And I think David Lynch has such a weird sense of aesthetics that when he creates a successful adaptation of a book, and honestly, I think it's actually, the director's cut's a pretty faithful adaptation.
It really is.
And it's got a lot of imagination to it. It's visually very exciting. That when he created that, it didn't match his own aesthetics. And so he didn't like it, even though it was like aesthetically true to the source.
It really was.
He didn't like
Unlike The Hobbit.
The Hobbit was it was aesthetically, visuals are only part of the aesthetics.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I can see that.
So like, the movie played like a regular old movie.
Yeah.
I think David Lynch doesn't like.
And plus, you had Patrick Stewart playing the Mentat.
No. Mentat was the guy from Quantum Leap, the Ziggy guy. That was the Mentat. Patrick Stewart was, which one was he?
Well, he played the. Yeah, he was Duncan. He played the.
He played a Chapman stick.
Yeah, Chapman stick, and they called it something really cool.
They called it whatever the crazy loot that they invent in the book is. So they have him playing Chapman stick, and that's one of the first. That's one of the first places people get exposed to Chapman stick. If you don't know what Chapman stick is, like, I don't know, go watch some videos of Chapman stick.
Is really cool.
There's a bunch of great Chapman stick players, and it's a really cool instrument.
So we have, I think it is Duncan, who's played by Patrick Stewart, and
he looks the same as he always has.
He does. The guy never ages.
Ages only slowly, like a wizard.
So that was awesome. And as a Star Trek fan, and of course, this movie came out before Star Trek, so this is like, me looking into the past of this actor that I liked career. it's fun to see him in more science fiction before he was in the biggest science fiction IP out there. So, when we're cross-referencing between the book and the movie, same setting, looks really nice. A couple of things that they added in the movie that I thought were a really nice visual touch, just in the director's cut again, is the on-ship scenes where you get to see this crazy alien monster who is part of the guild.
Yeah, the Spacers Guild. That was a really cool imagining.
Yeah,
of the Spacers Guild.
And this weird alien monster takes the spice that they only get from Dune and eats it, and it basically gives him magic powers.
Yeah, that's it.
And that's where the magic is.
I just want to correct. The guy from Quantum Leap is actually the Doctor, not the Mentat. I'm trying to remember who played Mentat. But anyway, yeah. So that visual is actually taken from the second book.
Right. Yeah.
That's taken from Dune Messiah, where they're like the Empress is sitting around with all these people. They're going to conspire to like kill Paul, and you finally, that's the first time you actually see someone from the Spacers Guild, and he's like floating in a tank eating like little
spice pellets or something.
Constantly eating spice pellets. And the idea of like the Spacers Guild is like for 5,000 years or something, they've been eating this spice and evolving with this spice, so that their intellect and their brain is so extended and so vast that they can fold space. And that's the way they travel.
Yeah, because they still want to get around this idea of relativity, where it would take, thousands and thousands of years to get from one end of the galaxy to the other.
Yeah. So rather than looking like, well, how do you travel faster? It's like folding a piece of paper. You fold the piece of paper so that the opposite ends are right next to each other. Then you only have to travel a short distance. Yeah. That was the idea behind their space travel. And there's a great little scene in the movie where you can see this guys from the Spacers Guild looking like they're like floating through space as they like, I don't know, magically wrap the spaceship and bring it to the new planet. It's very interesting visuals. Overall I really liked the visuals of the movie. I thought they were.
One thing that I really enjoyed about the movie as a modern cinema goer, I just feel like you missed this, is that there's a scene where Paul is leading the Dune men. I can't remember their names.
Fremen.
The Fremen. He's leading the Fremen in a charge against the guys trying to take them over. And over this sand dune comes hundreds of actors, real life actors.
Yeah.
Climbing over this dune.
They're attacking like the spice harvest. And that's where they like reunite.
Yeah. I thought that was really cool because today it's just like it's the main actor leading the charge with hundreds of CGI.
Yeah.
Just following him from behind. And it really does lose something.
Or they take an actor and they use the computer to like just multiply.
Yeah, to just multiply
the crowd to make it look huge, which. Yeah, whatever, But it was cool. It was cool to see like a bunch of extras all in their costumes.
Yeah, running down. It's like that they spent a lot of money making that movie.
Oddly enough, the still suits were not what I envisioned when I read the book.
Me either, but I really thought that they worked.
Yeah, I thought they worked. They just were like very different from how I imagined them.
And this is again a thing. Moving from book to cinema is you want to make the actors look really attractive. So the still suits were really form-fitting.
I imagine in the book that they were more...
Yeah, I imagine they were much more like you would see someone who lives in the desert. Very loose-fitting with maybe contraptions underneath that. But like you wanted to let that breeze move through you a little more. But it makes sense if you're trying to really wick all the moisture away from your body and to be able to reuse it. That it would be really tight against your skin because you wouldn't want evaporation stealing your moisture.
Yeah.
There's a great scene again. We're talking about the Chapman stick scene toward the beginning, where one of the Fremen spits on the ground, and all of these people they're not from the Spacers Guild, but they're from the Empire. And Leto and Paul are part of this. He spits on the ground, and they take it as an insult, and someone jumps in and says, no. You got to understand how important moisture is to these people.
Like so giving up your moisture, it's like a sign of respect.
It's a sign of respect, yeah.
And I got to hand it to Frank Herbert for taking, what he did was he took a couple of set of circumstances and then created a culture and a setup out of them that was like a natural next step.
Yeah.
So as the background to Dune, they overthrew these robot overlord type people that were originally seeing to their every need, and making people lazy and dumb. And that happens 12,000 years in the past or something.
Right. So the culture is well past that, but it's still informed by
it has created, there's this Orange Catholic Bible. They've created a religious set of dictums, or they've created a religious set of rules around this, that you're not going to make a machine in the image of a man, both in their mind and in their body.
In their form, yeah.
Then the mind is more important because that's where you have mentats. Mentats are these human calculators. So that rather than having a computer do complex thinking tasks, we have specially trained, specially developed people called mentats that do it, and that's a really cool idea. And rather than having computerized space travel, you have this Spacers Guild that does it. It all revolves around the use of this magical spice.
And so you can see the evolution of whereas most science fiction is focused on the technology actually informs the setting as to why they had to find this magic.
And the magical solution to the problem of not having highly AI and highly evolved computers to do a lot of thinking for people.
It's really interesting, and I haven't really seen it in science fiction since then.
I think it informs a lot of derivative science fiction. You have even Star Wars has the Force, has this magical element to it that kind of goes with the technology and places the technology, and you see this duality, this sort of competition between this natural force and then this unnatural computer technology. You even have that in the climax of Star Wars where it's like, Luke, you've turned your computer off, and he's like, it's fine, I'm using the Force. Right? So I think it informs a lot of derivative words. And by the way, whenever you call Star Wars derivative, people get upset for some reason. I don't know why. Star Wars wasn't the first science fiction-y universe ever made.
Yeah,
it wasn't the first one to use magic. It was the first one. I don't know. Star Wars fans have threatened to kill me because I didn't like the last Star Wars movie. So look at it that way.
Yeah. Well, and that's something interesting. It's when you're talking about science fiction specifically has so many subgenres because of how intense you can get with the actual science.
Yeah.
When you're talking about hard sci-fi, it's like you need to have graduated from MIT to understand what's happening.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name of the author. He wrote a book called Ringworld, which I really liked. And he actually revised it based on readers going, hey, you messed up on this little piece of the science. And so he revised the book to fix what he got wrong. With this would happen, and if you had this ring world, this is the thing that would happen because you would end up with this centrifugal force thing. And it's okay. And so he revised it and fixed the
cool.
tiny little things that readers pointed out. That's a cool idea. Dune is not hard sci-fi.
No, not at all. Not even close.
Not even close. Yeah. But
it's science fantasy, just like Star Wars.
But
science fantasy.
Go back to the movie. The movie, at least the director's cut, I felt had a really good structure to it.
And the pacing was really good.
Yeah, I really liked the pacing.
For a 4-hour movie.
Everything had enough time to develop. It's because there's so many ideas in it.
Yeah.
When you see the 2-hour version, there's not enough time to explore the ideas at all.
Yeah. So the pacing just was bad.
Yeah, that first Dune book is really packed with crazy ideas. And they had that big preamble explaining the background, which I think was really, really helpful for people. Because that's dropped in throughout the book, but that's really hard to do in a movie setting. Yeah. It's really hard to drop in clues about the setting as you're experiencing it. and they did this with Lord of the Rings too. The movies. At the beginning, they just sort of explained, right? And they had this scene with like Sauron like fighting people, and Isildur taking the ring, because that's explained through dialogue and stuff in the book. But that's hard to do in a movie. So you do it as just some exposition right at the beginning of the movie, and then begin the story. And it works because the exposition itself was interesting, as it wasn't Dune.
Which didn't work in The Hobbit because we already knew all the exposition that they were trying to do.
Yeah, and actually The Hobbit required no exposition.
Yeah.
The exposition would be, Hobbit, here's hobbits. They're short and they have hairy feet.
Yeah.
Let's go on an adventure.
The Hobbit was exposition. I feel like we're going to keep coming back to The Hobbit and how bad it was. So, yeah, there's... we haven't really... I mean... So, what was Paul's mother's name?
God.
Anyway, she's a major character, and when she and Paul escape into the desert, she goes from like leader mentor to Paul to suddenly like she takes a really big back step as Paul becomes this fully formed character that is going to eventually lead the Fremen into overthrowing this empire that's stealing their natural resources, destroying their culture.
Yeah.
And you see the two of them kind of traveling through these like underground water wells, so to speak. As meeting the Fremen, passing them by, meeting different factions, understanding how they live their life. Understanding more and more about their culture. I think at one point you witness a birth.
Yeah, it's So she gives birth to Paul's like premature sister, who's like spicy.
Oh, that's right.
Because remember they feed her the blood of the like sandworm to give her like ultra prescience and make her like a reverend mother. It's like it's really cool. But you can't get all of those little things in the 2.5 hour movie. I really recommend the director's cut for that.
Yeah.
I loved. By the way, in the movie, I loved the visuals of Harkonnen. The main bad guy in his little floaty suspenders, who's just like covered with disgusting boils that made him so atrociously disgusting.
Yeah.
It's just perfect. It's just like a perfect version of that. But then you have his like either son or nephew that's played by Sting, and he's very, very attractive. Mm-hmm. No homo.
No. What?
He looks great.
They have
they have these like shirtless scenes with him, and it's like Sting looks great.
And his son becomes the enemy in subsequent books.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see. It's like you see Jabba the Hutt in Star Wars: A New Hope. Well, no, actually, you don't. But you don't.
No, forget that.
Forget that. I forget that happens.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I hear they're gonna make a fourth Indiana Jones movie. Maybe it'll be good.
Oh, wait. Okay, I got you.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see this horrendous being that you're like, obviously this is the bad guy. I want him to die. And then if they had gone on and made more Dune movies, you had this built-in charismatic evil, which is even cooler. It's like going from chaotic evil to like lawful evil in a really cool way. Whereas I think lawful evil characters are a lot scarier than chaotic evil characters. It's like
they're more interesting.
They're way more interesting
because they have real motivation.
Yeah,
and they have like real. I don't know. They have a system of thought that is coherent. And to me, makes it more interesting.
It's like comparing the Joker, who's a chaotic evil character, to Gentleman John Marconi in the Dresden Files, who's a gangster and is not in trouble with the law, but everyone knows how evil he is.
Yeah.
Those characters are just so much more interesting, especially because in some cases the protagonist has to work with them towards
Jabba the Hutt.
Like Jabba the Hutt. Whew.
And really the Empire is lawful evil. It's fully lawful evil, which is great. So there's now the visuals I think are good. The sandworms look good. Most of the visual effects are really great, especially for the time. The one exception is they had this, these shields that they can turn on to fight. When they do like their knife fights and stuff. Those are from the 70s, and they look bad.
They look bad, yeah.
But you know what? You forget it because the sets are so detailed. The sets look so good.
They really are. They're just so... You are so immersed in that world when you watch that movie. Which when you read the book, you're very immersed in the world. But, man, you see those visuals, and it's really like bringing to life the book.
Yeah, nowadays I feel like there's just not as much effort put into sets as
There
was. And it's a feeling like the sets. There's a lot of good sets, but
most of the sets happen on a computer.
Yeah, a lot of them are. Like. They fill in all the background. There's not like a big room. So yeah, overall, I like the movie a lot. I recommend the director's cut. When you get to the end of the director's cut, it really feels like Paul has arrived to his greatness. It's a great hero's journey, and a hero's journey that is atypical in that. Paul's virtue is different than what you might expect from a regular hero, and I appreciated that a lot too. But I think we're out of time.
Yep.
So we'll see you next time. This has been Riders of the Dawn. You can find me at dvspress.com and davidbstewart.com.
And you can find me at matthewjwellman.com.
We'll see you next time.